I raised my nephew like my own, until his 18th birthday, when he learned the truth and called me a liar. For 18 years, I was his father in every way that mattered, until one letter revealed the truth, and the boy I raised like my own looked me in the eyes and called me a liar. My name is Daniel Cole, and from the moment I first held Ethan in my arms, I swore I would protect him with everything I had. He was barely 3 months old when tragedy struck. My older brother, Michael, and his wife were killed in a car accident on a rainy night. I was only 20 at the time, barely figuring out my own life, but I didn't hesitate for a second. I took him home, rocked him to sleep that night, and promised him that no matter what, he'd never feel the hole his parents left behind. For years, I was dad to him. I went without meals so he could have enough, took extra shifts so I could buy him the same sneakers his friends wore, and showed up at every school event cheering the loudest. I never told him the truth, not because I wanted to deceive him, but because I thought I was sparing him pain. The plan was always to tell him when he was older, when he was ready. But on his 18th birthday, that choice was stolen from me. It started when he found an old yellowed envelope tucked inside a box in my closet. I had hidden it years ago, a letter from my late brother, written for his son in case anything ever happened to him. Ethan's voice shook as he read it out loud, his eyes darting between the page and my face, the truth crashing over him in real time. "You're not my father," he said, his voice cold and sharp in a way I'd never heard before. "You lied to me my whole life." I reached for him, desperate to explain, but he pulled away like my touch burned him. I could see the betrayal written all over his face, the years of love and sacrifice suddenly meaningless in his eyes. That night, he packed a bag and left. I called after him, my voice cracking, "Ethan, please, don't go." But he didn't look back. He didn't answer. I watched the tail lights fade, and with him, the only family I'd ever truly known. A week later, I learned where he had gone. My parents, Ethan's grandparents, the very people who had abandoned him when his parents died, had taken him in. I couldn't believe it. The same people who never visited, never called, never sent a birthday card, suddenly decided they were his salvation the moment he discovered the truth about me. When I confronted them, my mother's eyes were cold, almost triumphant. "Daniel, you shouldn't have kept this from him. He deserved to know," she said, her voice dripping with false concern. My father just shrugged, as if he'd been waiting for this moment to prove he was right all along. I tried calling Ethan, visiting, leaving messages, but he refused to answer. According to my parents, he was hurt, confused, and needed space. I wanted to scream at them, tell them they had no right to step in after abandoning him for years, but what could I do? He was 18, legally an adult now. Weeks turned into months, and each day without him was a knife twisting in my chest. I kept remembering the nights I stayed up when he was sick, the mornings I cheered for him at school, the countless sacrifices I made silently, and I wondered if he would ever see that I had raised him out of love, not deception. Then, one evening, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Ethan. Simple, short. "I need to think. I'll contact you when I'm ready." My heart both soared and broke at the same time. It was the first thread connecting us again, however fragile, and I clung to it. I knew the road back wouldn't be easy. He had been hurt, misled, and manipulated by the very people who had abandoned him. But I also knew this. Love doesn't disappear just because someone doesn't understand it yet, and I had spent 18 years proving mine. I wasn't going to give up on my son. Not now, not ever. At first, Ethan seemed torn, his messages infrequent and cautious. Then came the subtle manipulations. My mother would text him, "Daniel only pretends to care, Ethan. He kept your father's letter from you for years. Can you trust a man like that?" My father chimed in too, reminding him of my youth, my inexperience, painting me as selfish and reckless. They reminded him of every argument we'd ever had, every time I disciplined him, twisting it into proof that I was controlling, lying, unworthy. They made him doubt himself, question the man who had sacrificed so much for him, and even question the love he had felt all his life. Ethan started pulling away. Visits I'd begged for were met with silence, calls went unanswered, and when I saw him in person at a neutral cafe, he wouldn't look me in the eye. He repeated their words almost mechanically, Maybe they're right. Maybe you weren't really there for me like I thought. It hurt more than anything I had ever imagined. My own son, swayed by the very people who abandoned him, thinking I had failed him. Every fiber of me wanted to scream the truth, to show him the letters, the photos, the memories, all the nights I went without so he could have more, but I knew forcing it wouldn't help. He had to come to the truth on his own. I watched from a distance as his grandparents began shaping him into what they wanted. A version of Ethan that resented me, admired them, and blamed me for his confusion. They were filling the void they had created years ago with lies, twisting his love and loyalty into something I didn't recognize. And yet, somewhere deep inside, I could still see the boy I raised. The one who trusted me, who laughed at my terrible jokes, who once ran into my arms without hesitation. That boy was still there, buried beneath doubt and betrayal, and I knew that as long as he existed, there was hope. I just had to wait. Months passed, and slowly, cracks started to appear. It began with small things. Memories that didn't match the stories his grandparents fed him. One night, as he unpacked some old school papers and trophies I had saved for him, he found a photo of us at his first soccer match. I was beaming, cheering louder than anyone, my arms wrapped around him as he held the trophy. He stared at it, confused. If he didn't care, why? He muttered under his breath. Then came the whispers he overheard when his grandparents thought he wasn't listening. My mother, scolding his aunt over the phone. Daniel did more for that boy than we ever did. He made sacrifices we can't match. My father later trying to justify it. We did what we could, but he was always there for him. That's the truth. Ethan's world started to shift. Doubts crept in like slow-burning embers. The anger he felt toward me, the loyalty he had been forced to give his grandparents, all of it started to feel wrong. He began replaying every memory with me, the sleepless nights I stayed by his side, the school events, the sacrifices he never knew the cost of. One evening, he found a crumpled receipt for sneakers I had bought him secretly, back when he was 13, sacrificing my own meal to make sure he felt included among his friends. That memory hit him harder than any argument, harder than any lecture his grandparents had given. He called me that night. My heart raced when I saw the number, but I didn't speak first. Daniel, his voice cracked, hesitant, fragile. I don't know what to believe anymore. I'll tell you everything, Ethan, I said softly. No lies. No excuses. Just the truth. For the first time since that terrible birthday, a flicker of hope returned. He was finally ready to hear it, ready to see the man who had raised him, loved him, and never abandoned him, for who he really was. A week later, Ethan came to my apartment. He walked in slowly, eyes wary, shoulders tense, like he was stepping into a battlefield. I didn't rush him. I just watched, my heart hammering, waiting for him to speak. I need answers, he finally said, his voice trembling. All the things they told me. I don't know what's true anymore. I led him to the couch, pulled out the old letters, photos, and keepsakes I had saved for him. One by one, I showed him every moment, every sacrifice, every sleepless night. I told him the story of the night his parents died, how I promised to raise him, how I had tried to protect him from the pain. His hands shook as he held the letters from his late father, reading the words meant only for him. And then he looked up, tears streaming down his face. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He whispered. Because I wanted you to be ready, I said, my own voice thick. I thought if I waited, it would hurt less. But I see now that hiding the truth only gave them a chance to fill your head with lies. The next day, we went to see my parents. I had hoped Ethan would confront them, and he did. But not with anger, not with hesitation. He stood tall, his voice firm and steady, the boy I raised shining through the confusion they had tried to create. You abandoned me when I needed you, he said, his eyes blazing with hurt and clarity. You left me to suffer, and then you tried to tell me who to hate. But I know the truth now. Daniel raised me, loved me, never left me. And I choose him. Not you. My mother's face fell. My father looked down, silent. For the first time in years, their words and manipulations held no power over him. Ethan turned to me then, a mix of tears and a small, shaky smile. I'm sorry I doubted you. I really am. But I'm glad I finally see who my real family is. I pulled him into a hug, holding him tight, feeling the weight of months of fear, betrayal, and pain finally lift. He was mine, not by blood, but by love, by trust, by every sleepless night, every sacrifice, every heartbeat we had shared. And as he rested his head on my shoulder, I knew that no letter, no manipulation, no absence could ever break the bond we had built over 18 years. Months passed, and life slowly returned to a new normal. Ethan and I rebuilt what had been shaken, stronger this time, forged in truth and shared struggle. We laughed together again, argued over trivial things, celebrated milestones, and supported each other through the small trials of everyday life. Every hug, every word, every glance reminded us that family isn't just about blood, it's about love, loyalty, and presence. His grandparents never reached out again. The letters, calls, and manipulations that had once seemed so powerful now felt hollow and distant. Ethan didn't hate them. He simply recognized their absence and the choice he had made. He chose the man who had been there when it mattered, who had raised him, sacrificed for him, and loved him unconditionally. One quiet evening, Ethan handed me a photo he had framed, one of us at his high school graduation, smiling wide, arms thrown around each other. "This is my family," he said softly, "and it's who I want it to be." I held the frame, swallowed the lump in my throat, and nodded. For 18 years, I had fought to protect him, to raise him, and to love him without asking for anything in return. Now, I realized the fight had been worth it. My son, my true son in every sense that mattered, had chosen me, and together, we would face the future, unshaken by lies, betrayal, or absence. Some wounds take time to heal, some truths take courage to accept, but love, real love, always finds its way home. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories.